Hello and welcome to the EasyVote training video. Today I'm going to show you how to get the most out of your Meridia ARS software. There are three ways that you can access the EasyVote software. One is by clicking on your Microsoft Office PowerPoint software and just opening it that way. Another way is clicking on the EasyVote icon that is located on your desktop. Or another way is you can just simply open a pre-existing PPTX file that you may have. Now once your PowerPoint software opens, to get to your ARS tools, simply click on the Meridia tab, and here you have access to all of your ARS tools, which we will cover now. The first section that we're going to cover is how to insert your basic ARS slide. You'll notice at the top left up here that you have two spots that you can click on in order to insert an ARS slide. The first one being the blue circle with the white question mark in the middle of it. You simply click on that to insert a basic ARS slide. There needs to be three elements on that slide in order for it to work properly. You have your question text box, you have your answers text box, and you have your bar graphs box. Now once you insert your basic ARS slide, you can customize the text. Simply click in the question area and enter your question. Okay, now you have your question, and to enter your answers, you click inside the answers text box. To give yourself another answer choice, you hit the return key. And then once you have all of your answer choices that you want, you can click outside of the answers box, and the bar graphs box will automatically adjust to the number of questions that you do, or the number of answers that you do have. Now it's very possible that when you're constructing your ARS slide, if you click too many times in the bar graph area, you can get a message like this, where it's essentially asking you is if you want to turn what is now an ARS object, the bar graphs, into a PowerPoint object, which would be a non-ARS object. If you did continue with this convert feature, you would essentially break your ARS slide and you would have to reconstruct that slide from scratch, because if you tried to vote on it, you would see the votes coming in, the polling would be open, and when you close the polling, the bar graphs would not appear because they are no longer tied to your clickers. So to get out of this, do not hit convert or convert all. You can hit the X and click outside of this area, and your ARS slide will return back to normal and no conversion or breaking of the slide occurs. So now that we've learned how to insert your basic ARS slide, let me introduce you to the drop-down menu for the insert slides. And here you'll find a bunch of pre-made slides that are available to you. The first one that you come across is the TrueFalse slide. If you click on this, it will enter a slide that has the answers true and false automatically for you. And if you want to change the answer or the question text, you can click inside that box and replace the text with your question. And there you go. That's inserting your true-false slide. Okay, so that's how you enter a true-false slide. The next slide available to you in the drop-down menu is the yes-no slide. You can click on that. It'll enter a slide with yes and no as the answer choices. And again, you can click on the text here to replace it with a question that you do want to enter. So that's how you insert your yes-no slide. Next in the drop-down menu is a Likert scale. Now if you're not familiar with the Likert scale, what that does is poses a question to the audience on how strongly they disagree or agree with a certain opinion that you are discussing. Now what's good about this type of question is that you can use this question to populate another slide that's available to you. Next on the list is the compare responses slide. So I'm going to insert another Likert scale. And so let's just say for training purposes is the first time you ask this question, you're going to pose this question to the audience at the beginning of your presentation. So we'll consider this a pre-question. So you might want to get an idea of how the audience feels on a certain topic before you discuss it any further, just to get their initial response. So then you go ahead and go through your presentation, and at the end, if you want to ask that same question again, now that they've heard all of the information that you wanted to present to them, they can now form a much better opinion on if they strongly agree or strongly disagree with whatever you are discussing. So now we've inserted two of the same question, one a pre-question and one a post-question. Now we can insert a compare responses slide that allows us to see the results of both of those questions on the very same slide, allowing you to visually see the amount of change that occurred between the two questions. So go to click on compare responses. A window will open asking you to pick which two questions you want to compare. Now keep in mind when you're doing this that you want to have the same answer choices here. Right now we have a drop-down menu with all of our ARS questions available to us, and we simply pick the slide number. See these numbers here, they are related to the slide. So slide 3 is the first time that we ask the what is your opinion question, and slide 7 is the second time that we ask the what is your opinion question. So once you have your two questions selected, go ahead and hit OK, and that's going to insert a slide directly underneath the second question there. Now we click on the compare responses slide, and you'll see that there are two bar graphs for each of your answer choices. The top bar graph are the results from the first time they asked the question, and the bottom bar graph are the results from the second time they asked the question. So this will make a lot more sense once we see it in show mode. So that's how to insert a compare responses slide. Let's turn our attention next to the fastest responder slide. So click on the fastest responder insert slide button. This is going to insert a slide that will let you know whoever voted correctly on a question previous to this slide. So you can tell who the fastest one to respond to a question correctly is. Now keep in mind, if you do insert a slide like this, you also need to go to the question previous to this and assign a correct answer to that slide. Otherwise it's not going to tell you who the fastest responder was on that slide, because it does tell you who voted correctly, and if a slide does not have a correct answer assigned to it, it's not going to complete that action. So go to the video on how to assign correct points and answers, and that will tell you a little bit more about this topic. Alright, so that's your fastest responder slide. So let's go to the next one. Click on the drop-down menu for insert slide and insert a individual scores slide. Now an individual score slide is just going to show you the keypad ID and the score that the keypads received for that answer choice. And again, like the fastest responder slide, this slide will rely on you assigning correct answers and giving points to some of your slides, so you can calculate the scores throughout the event. And anytime you want to show the scores, you can insert this leading participants slide. So in addition to being able to show individual scores, the system allows you to divide your audience into teams, and therefore you can see the team's scores, and you would do that just by inserting a team score slide. And we will cover how to use the system to divide your audience into teams a little bit later. Right now you'll see if you insert a team score slide and teams have not been assigned yet, you're just going to get one bar graph, but this will adjust itself automatically to the number of teams that you do have. And that will be shown once we go into the actual presentation mode. You'll see this in action. Alright, so that's how you enter your team score slide, and now we're going to cover the last item that's available to you in the insert slide drop down menu, and that's the data filtering slide. Now the data filtering slide allows you to take a question that you've posed to the audience, perhaps a demographic question, very much like this question here, what is your gender? And then we can ask a question to the audience, how they feel about a certain topic, get the entire audience's view on a certain topic, and then now if we want to insert a slide, we can find out how a particular subgroup of the audience voted on any particular question. So let's just say we wanted to find out how males voted on this particular question here. We'd go up to the Insert Slide drop-down menu, select Data Filtering Slide, and that's going to open up this window here. So we want to find out how all the males voted on this how do you feel about this particular topic question. So you're going to enter that question into this drop-down menu here. How do you feel about this particular topic? And we're going to filter that question by how the males voted in the audience. So we're going to take the question, what is your gender? Place that here. And then we want to see how all the males voted. So right here we have males in the drop-down menu, and if you wanted to see how the females voted, you could select females, of course, but we'll just select males, hit OK, and that's going to insert a slide directly underneath this question slide. And you can see down at the bottom here that it does say data filtered on male. So for this particular question, you will see only the responses from the audience if they had pressed male on the previous demographic question here. So now that we've seen how to insert slides into your presentation, we're going to turn our attention now to the Convert Slide feature that's available to you. So let's just say you have a presenter coming to your event and they do not have ARS software to create their presentations, but they would like to use that functionality during their presentation. So you can advise them to insert certain formats of slides, which you can then easily turn into functioning ARS slides using your EasyVote software. So if they have a slide that they want to use or pose to the audience as an ARS question, if you advise them to use the title and content slide, and then they can just enter their question into this area, and I have one pre-made here for you. So this is a title and content formatted slide. There's my question. There's my answers. And the key to this format of slide is the fact that the answer choices need to be bullets. And if that is the case, and this is how they give you their presentation with this question that they want to turn into an ARS question, you can simply go to the Media tab. You have this question highlighted, and you hit the Convert Slide button, and that's going to turn their non-ARS slide into a functioning ARS slide, which you can see here. Here's the pre, and then here's how the converted slide looks with your answer choices here, and of course the three elements which must be present on all your ARS slides: the questions, the answers, and the bar graphs. So that's how you can use the Convert Slide feature to turn non-ARS slides into functioning ARS slides. Next up, we have the graph types. You'll see up here that there's a graph type drop-down menu, and this allows you a choice of 3 different types of graph to display on your ARS slide. Right now we have the horizontal graph selected, but let's just say we want to turn that vertical or the horizontal graph into a vertical graph. We would simply just select the vertical graph button, and that will move automatically your bar graphs to the right-hand side of the slide here. In case that you like this display option better. And then also we also have the pie graphs that are available to you. So those are your 3 graph types. Okay, so now we've learned how to insert slides, convert slides, and change our graph type. Next along the menu bar are the Objects drop-down menu. Now clicking on the Objects drop-down menu, you see a bunch of items that are available to place on your audience response slide in order to further enhance the interactivity of the presentation. So you simply select an ARS slide that you want to place the object onto, go to the Objects menu, and select the first item here is a countdown clock. Now, inserting a countdown clock allows you a couple of things. It allows you to maybe force the audience to vote a little bit quicker than they would originally intend to, therefore getting a more honest answer, or at least keeps your event on track time-wise. Alright, so that's how you insert a clock. Next on the object's drop-down menu is a response counter. The response counter places an object on your ARS slide, which allows the audience to see how many people have voted so far. So if 5 keypads have voted, the response counter should have a 5 in it, and as the votes come in, that response counter will climb. Okay, so that's how you insert a response counter. Next on the object's drop-down menu is a correct answer indicator. Now the correct answer indicator, what that does is it puts an object next to any correct answer that you have assigned to that particular slide. But if you have not inserted a correct answer into that slide yet, the correct answer indicator will not apply to that slide until you go ahead and assign correct answers to those answer choices. If you click on insert correct answer indicator and do not have a correct answer assigned to that slide yet, you will get this message just saying that you have to insert a correct answer before you can insert a correct answer indicator. Hopefully that was not too confusing, but we will go ahead and cover the inserting a correct answer and assigning points to that in just a moment. Okay, well, we just learned how to insert a correct answer indicator, but also we realized that you have to assign a correct answer to that slide before you can insert the correct answer indicator. So let's go ahead and cover how to assign correct answers and points to your ARS slides. Go to the Objects menu, click on the correct answer, assign points to answers, and that will open up this window. Now what this window has, it has your ARS question at the top. It has all of your available answer choices listed in this window here. So you pick the one that is the correct answer, and you go over here and you set that as correct and select yes. And that will go ahead and set that answer choice as the correct answer. And now you can just simply insert a correct answer indicator from this window, checking this box right here. And you'll also see that the default point value for your correct answer is set to 100, but you see you can set that to a range of -10,000 to +10,000. So you just hit save, and that inserts the correct answer indicator right there. Checking that box in the correct answer indicator, assigning correct points to that slide, is the same thing as clicking on this correct answer indicator here. Okay, so now that we've learned how to assign correct answers and points to those answers, as well as the inserting of the correct answer indicator, let's go next to our object drop-down menu and select Associate Images with Answers. Associating images with answers allows you to pick a question, and actually I want to use this question, allows you to insert images that are tied to your answer choices somehow. So you go to the Objects, Associate Images with Answers. This opens up a window, and you'll see that there is a window available for each of your answer choices, and you can simply click on Browse and search your computer for the image that you want to use. Alright, and so once you have all of your answers or all of your images collected, you can hit update, and that will place the images on your ARS slide, and you can place those on the slide wherever you like. And so now you have images associated with your answers, and of course you would select 3 being the correct answer here as the football. Okay, so now that we've covered associating images with answers, let's go to the next item on our drop-down menu here, and you'll see that there's an Answer Now indicator. Now what the Answer Now indicator does is it puts an object on your ARS slide, and this just indicates to the audience that this is an ARS slide. It is interactive, so please go ahead and grab your clickers and vote on this one slide. And like many other objects in PowerPoint, you can click on that and adjust it to your slide. You can make it smaller and fit it or customize it to your slide and put it wherever you like. Alright, so that doesn't cover up any of the text here. So that just simply gives the audience an indication that this is an ARS slide. You can go ahead and click right in the object and change the text here to whatever text that you want. Alright, there it is. That's your answer now indicator. Okay, so that's how you insert an answer now indicator. And last item in the objects drop-down menu is the response grid. Now, inserting response grid, the purpose of this is that it displays the keypad IDs of the responses as they are received. So if keypad 10 is the first keypad to vote or respond to a particular question, you'll see keypad 10 listed here, then maybe keypad 1, keypad 5, keypad 22, and so on. You'll see the keypad IDs populate these windows or little grids as the votes are coming in. Alright, so now that we've learned how to insert objects into your ARS slides, let's turn our attention to the customization of those objects' appearance, effects, and performance. And this is done under the Tools menu by selecting Settings. Now, opening up the Settings window, you'll notice that there are a few different choices of the level of settings you have. Right now it's selected Presentation Level. You'll also see Slide Level, and then there's also a Computer Defaults button over here on the right. Now, the difference between these two levels of settings: if you have presentation level settings selected, any choices that you make or changes that you make to those settings while presentation level is selected, those changes will apply to all of your ARS slides within that particular PPTX file. If you only want to make changes on one particular slide, you can highlight that slide, select slide level, and any changes that you make in the settings area now will only apply to that one particular slide. Now, the difference between these two and then the Computer Defaults button over here to the right is you have all of the same choices of your settings in the Computer Default area, but the big difference now is if you make any changes while Computer Default settings is chosen, any of those changes that you make will apply to any PowerPoint presentation that you have from this point forward. So if you find that you have some favorites that you've discovered, instead of having to make those changes for every PPTX file that you create, you can make those changes in the Computer Defaults area, and those changes will apply to all of your presentations. And then any customization that you want to make to particular slides or to that particular PowerPoint, you can do with slide level and presentation level. Okay, so now that we've learned the different levels of settings, let's turn our attention to the customization of our object's appearance, effects, and performance on our ARS slide. So to do that, we would go into Tools and Settings, and the Settings window will open. And here you have all of your different customization tools for the objects that we've inserted on our slide. So if you inserted an Answer Now indicator, here's the area to make any changes there. You can change from a bunch of different shapes here, and you can also customize the text that's listed in the box. If you inserted a countdown clock, the area is listed down here, and to change the time, you can simply click and put in your own time there. There are a few different objects that you can choose from to display on the slide, and also you can import a WAV file that will play as the clock counts down in case you want a little bit of music or game show type of sounds to play with your countdown clock. Keep in mind that you would want that file to be about the same length as your clock. Now, if you don't like the color scheme that is going on with your objects, you can change these objects' colors under Other Settings. Go to Insert Object Using Color, and instead of blue, you can choose from a few different primary colors here: red, yellow, and green, and you can make those changes here. Okay, so if you've inserted a response grid object into your slide, you can customize that object up here under the response grid area. You can change the colors of your rows. You can also choose between if the keypad has answered or if they get the correct or incorrect answer, and the color of that keypad ID number that shows up will show up in yellow if they did get the answer correct, and it'll show up in red if they got the answer incorrect. In addition to customizing the objects that we've inserted into our ARS slide, you can also customize the bar graph colors that are shown on your ARS slide. And that's also done under Tools and Settings. And here's the chart area up here. Now I'm only going to change the bar graph colors on the slide level. If I had the presentation level slide setting selected, it would change the bar graphs for all of my ARS slides in my presentation. So let's go up to chart, and you'll see here the chart colors. Right now the use PowerPoint colors is the default. So to change that, there's a drop down menu. You select the user defined, and that will open up this chart colors window here. Now this is where we can insert our own customized colors for our bar graphs. So I want to change bar graph 1. You click in this window, it brings up a color wheel or color choice area. You simply select the color that you want, hit OK, and that window will populate with the color that you want. You can change your mind and select a different color, and it will replace that color. Alright, so bar graph 2, I'm going to select another color, hit OK. Bar graph 3, another color, and bar graph 4, we will choose this color here. Once you've done with choosing the colors for your bar graphs on that particular slide, you hit save and save again, and it's only going to change the settings on the selected slide. So we will see these colors, bang, there's our bar graph changes. Now that we've covered how to change your bar graph colors, let's go back into Tools and Settings and cover a couple more items just to make sure you're familiar with these. Under Other Settings, you notice that you have a input source listed here. Normally you would want to have this listed as response devices, and by response devices it means your keypads. But you can also put it on simulated data, and what that allows you to do is it allows you to run through your presentation collecting votes, but instead of using your base and your keypad, you can just have it vote automatically for you, and it's set to 50 votes up here. Number of simulated votes is set to 50, so it will just automatically vote for you 50 times instead of having to connect your base and your keypads. You might bring your presentation home and want to use it there, and instead of dragging all that equipment back with you, you can just put it on simulated data. Also available is a show results. The system gives you the ability to show the bar graphs after you close the polling, but if you want, you can actually turn that off, and once you close the polling, the bar graph will not show. Or what you can do is set it to delay, and what will happen is if you close the polling, the results will not show, and then all you need to do is click once more and the results will show. Now if you set this to no, and you go through your program and you collect all the votes and you put it on no, you can then close that PowerPoint presentation, reopen it, set that to yes, and run through the presentation, and it will show you your bar graphs. So if that's helpful. Alrighty, and any other thing listed here? Nope, that's it. Okay, and the last thing that I want to cover in the settings area are how to use the ARS system to divide your audience into teams. There are two ways that we can divide the audience into teams using the ARS system, and one of the ways is using a question slide, which allows you to set up an ARS question, and pose that to the audience and allow them to use the clickers or the keypads that they have to choose which team they're on. The other method is using a participant list, and this allows you to assign what team they are on beforehand. So right now let's just cover how to use the question slide method to divide your audience into teams. First, you would need to create an ARS slide that asks the audience what team they're going to be on, and then they can simply choose 1, 2, or 3 for whatever team that they're on. So if they choose 1, they're going to be on the blue team, 2, they're going to be on the red team, etc. And so once you have that ARS slide created, we're going to go into Tools and Settings and look down here in the Team Settings area. Come down here to the Assigned By area, and you'll see that none is the default. But if you choose the drop-down menu here, you'll see the two methods used to divide your audience into teams. You can do it by participant list or question slide, and right now we're just covering the question slide, so we will choose that. If you choose question slide, you'll see directly underneath the team using area, you can click on this drop down menu and you'll see a list of all of your available ARS questions in your presentation. You simply find the question that you're going to use to divide your audience into teams, select that one, and then also when you select that question, you'll see the answer choices listed here, which of course are your teams. And we'll go ahead and save that. And at this point, if you inserted a team scoring slide, you will see that no polling has been collected yet because no data has been collected, but you'll see once you get to this slide, these bar graphs will automatically adjust to the scores that each team has accumulated here, and the team names are listed along the bottom x-axis down here. What I'll do is I'll show you how to create teams using a participant list in a few videos once we go into the participant list and explain a little bit about that. I don't want to jump the gun and show you how to pick teams using the participant list if we have not covered that information already, so just hold off on that, or in fact you can click this link right here and it will take you right to that. Okay, now let's take a step back and go into tools, and this time we're going to go into base settings. Now this is one of the more important tools that you have in your ARS toolbar. Right now you'll see that the base, it says base is disconnected in a red circle, but ultimately we want to see the base listed in our base settings window. So I have my base now. I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. I'm going to open up the base settings window, and you select the keypads that you have along the left side here. I have these keypads, so I check that, hit refresh, and hopefully the base will come up listed in this window. So that is ultimately what you're looking for. You do not need to check this box and hit enable. It is already enabled. Here's your serial number, your base ID, which your keypad should be matched to. So really ultimately you want to see the base listed in the base settings window, and then once you close this window, this circle will turn green and it will say base connected. Now you always want to check twice if you're about to start a show or launch it into presentation mode. Just because this circle is green does not mean that the base is definitely recognized by the software. You may have had this open before, and this may just be latent information from before. So just go into tools, base settings, and make sure that your base is listed here. Once it's listed here, you're good to go. Okay, next item up in our tools menu is clear responses. Now clear responses, I'm going to have to cover this subject in 2 different videos, but I just wanted to introduce you to what clear responses is, and we will cover the second part of this video once we actually collect some data within our presentation, and then we will be able to clear that data out. But I wanted to just make sure you were familiar with the clear responses button here. That what the clear responses does, you cannot collect data on an ARS slide that has already collected data on it once before. So once you go through your presentation and collect data on all of your ARS slides, we need to get that data out of that presentation in order for us to be able to collect data again on those same slides. And then you can also tell when your presentation is clear of data is that all the bar graphs are evenly distributed, much like this one, and then also your percentages, 100% is divided evenly among the number of answer choices here. So you have 3 answer choices, so they're each going to be 33%. So what I'll do is continue this conversation after we've gone through and collected data in our presentation mode. So that'll be available to you. And you can click on this link right here and go directly to that point if you'd like. Okay, so the next item up in our tools bar is the rebuild chart button. Now what this button allows you to do, let's just say you have an ARS slide much like the one you see here, and the bar graphs just look a little bit off. You know, it's not quite lined up correctly. You can manually take these bar graphs and move them around using the arrow keys and try to line them up that way. Or if you want, we have this rebuild chart tool here. You can simply click on this button and it will place the bar graphs exactly back where they need to be. Alright, so that's just a little tool that adds some convenience to your system there. Alright, so that's how you rebuild a chart. Next in the Tools menu is the Paste Special. Now the Paste Special is the only non-ARS tool located in the ARS toolbar. This is just a matter of convenience. If you are familiar with PowerPoint and know what Paste Special does, it has something to do with saving formatting on your certain slide that allows you to keep that formatting and then just use that formatting whenever you would like. So that's available to you here as Paste Special. So that's your Paste Special. And the last item under Tools is the Manage Participant List. Now what the Manage Participant List allows you to do, it allows you to assign certain individuals to specific keypads. And if that individual votes with that particular keypad throughout the event, you can track that person's progress throughout the event. So it takes away a little bit of the anonymity of the software, but it also allows you to track one individual's progress throughout your event. So you can also use the participant list to divide your audience members into teams, and you can set that up beforehand, but I will cover that in the next video. First, let me just describe what the participant list is, and then we will cover that team aspect later on. So click on Manage Participant List, and that will open up your window for your participant list. To start a new list, you just click on New List and give it a title of something. Maybe you have Group 1, and let's see, I'll just put Test here. Go to Next, and here's where it allows you to take your keypad and assign that to specific people. So I have a keypad here, and I'm going to enter the serial number, which is found on the back of the keypad underneath the barcode. Type in that, and I will go ahead and enter my name. This is who I want to assign this specific keypad to. And then once you assign a specific person to that, you can save that participant, and then next you just grab your keypad, your next keypad in line, enter that serial number, attach that to a certain name, and then once you have finished adding all of your keypads and people to those keypads, you can go ahead and finish the list. Now keep in mind that if you enter a participant list into your presentation and have it attached to your presentation, you can only vote with the particular keypads that you have entered into that list. So right now, if I had 50 keypads, only this one keypad that I had entered will work. If I entered or put my PowerPoint into show mode, only this keypad will work. And the good thing about the participant list is you do not have to enter the serial numbers and the participants every time you open up your PowerPoint software. You can export this list and use it later on. Just hit Export List, and then that will save that as a CSV file. And then whenever you want to use that certain list or certain keypads with those particular people, you can import that list and it will import in there for you. So you only have to do the majority of that work once, and then if some people change their keypads or they're no longer there, you can then edit that keypad serial number to go with a different participant. Now let's investigate the assigning teams using the participant list. As I mentioned before, we can use our participant list to divide our audience members into teams, and the participant list allows us to do that before the event, giving you more control over who is on what team. So to use the participant list for teams, to create teams, we go to Manage Participant List. Of course, you would go ahead and enter in your participants. So let's view those. We have one entered already. We do not have them assigned to a team, but let's go ahead and add one more participant, and then we will show you how to divide or use the software to divide your members into teams. So I'm going to grab another keypad here, enter the serial number of this one, and go ahead and say, let's just say Joe Smith. We'll save him. You know what? We're going to add a custom descriptor, and this is where you enter in your teams. So team name, it's going to be a close-ended descriptor because there's only a finite number of teams. And then this is where we would enter the team name. So we can just put red, blue, yellow, and let's just say that those are the team names. Once you have entered all of your team names, you can go ahead and click OK. And then now you have a spot to add your individuals into their specific teams. So we're going to put Joe Smith on the red team. We would simply just click on red, and now Joe Smith's on the red team. Alright, so I'm going to save this participant. Let's go to the participant that we had added before and see if we can't place him on a team. Alright, so here we have the participant that we had not added to a team yet, so we're going to edit this participant and place myself on the blue team. And there we go. So now we have placed two of our keypads on two different teams using the participant list to put them on those teams. So that's how you do that. Once you're done, click done. Alright, we're okay. And then here's where we're going to go tell the system that we are using the participant list to choose our teams. Go into settings again, back down to the team settings area. And instead of using a sign by question slide, we're going to use the participant list this time. Participant list. So now we have our team names, blue, red, and yellow. Alright, so that's using the participant list to assign our teams. Alright, now that you've loaded all of your interactive slides into the presentation and customized those slides, let's see if we can't launch this puppy into show mode and see how to collect votes. Alright, before you launch any PowerPoint presentation into show mode that has ARS slides attached to it, you want to make sure of a few things. You'll want to first make sure that your base is connected, and right now we see a red circle, base is disconnected. So let's investigate that. We'll go into Tools, Base Settings, and you want your base to show up in this window. So we're going to hit refresh. The base will show up in this window, and once you see the base in this window, you're good to go there. Your software recognizes your base. One other thing that you want to make sure of is that your input device or input source is set to response devices. Those are your keypads. So we're good there. Your base is recognized. You have your keypad set to be the input device. So now let's hit F5 and launch this into show mode. So F5, here's your first slide, and I'm just going to use the right arrow keys to advance through my slides. So once you get to an ARS slide, you'll see that the polling is open up top and the response counter is here. This is where the presenter can see the responses come in instead of the response counter that you put on your slide that's usually down here. Alright, so let's get a couple votes on this slide here. And this is the question that we're going to use to as half of our compare responses slide. This is the pre-question, so you're getting an initial reaction from your audience. Maybe they don't really know what to expect yet, so they would choose neutral, disagree, or maybe they don't agree at all. So you close the polling. A few beats later, the bar graphs will appear, and I'm just going to advance to the next slide here using my right arrow key. Alright, so this is where people can choose which team they are on. Alright, close the polling. Now if somebody chooses wrong and they're not on a certain team, or they made a mistake and didn't choose right, you can reopen the polling on any certain slide as long as you remain on that slide. And that's just by pushing F5 or this icon up top here, and now people can add votes or just change their mind. On to the next slide here. Alright, and this is one of the questions where we attached a correct answer to. So I'm going to let a few of the keypads get the correct answer. Alright, and then the next slide here, I'm just going to let one of the same keypads that got it right before get the right answer, and everyone else will get it wrong. Here's the results. Alright, and the next slide is the leading participant slide. So you see that keypad 227 got both of those questions right. 367 only got one question right, and 406 got neither question right. And the next slide here are the team score slides, and there you go. Blue team is in the lead. Alright, and this is the second of our two questions that we are going to show the results for on the compare responses slide. This is the post question, so now that the audience has heard all of your information in your presentation, they can vote on how well they agree or disagree, and hopefully if you've gone through your presentation and convinced them otherwise, now they will agree or strongly agree with you. And there are the results there. Alright, so when you get to your compare responses slide, you'll see the results automatically adjust for you, and you'll see the first time that you ask the question, the results show in red, or the top bar graph. The second time you ask it is the blue bar graph here. Alright, this is the demographic slide that we're using. Alright, close and show the results there. And the next slide, we're going to ask this question to the audience. So we're going to get the entire audience's feedback on this one slide. And now the next slides will automatically show just the males in the audience. And this is the last slide that we have here, and we have a few more objects that we inserted on this slide. You'll see a clock in the lower right, a response counter in the lower left, and an answer now indicator in the upper right. So because you have a clock, people can still vote as long as the polling is open. And you'll see one vote come in, and that keypad ID will get listed in the response grid down here. You'll see the response counter climb as well as the response counter up here. And whenever you want to start the clock, you can just hit the right arrow key or whatever you're using to advance through your slides, whether it be a remote control, space bar, or right arrow key. Start the clock and more people can vote. And once that clock reaches 0, the polling will automatically close and the results will show just a moment later. There you go. Alright, that's the end of our show. We collected all of our responses. Good job. Alright, so now that we've generated our presentation, run that in show mode and collected some data, let me show you what's next. So now that you have data in your presentation, you have the ability to run reports on your data. So that's located under the reports menu here, and that brings up a drop down menu, and here you have all of your available reports. Now keep in mind some of these reports are specific to the type of slide that you have in your presentation. So if you do not have a participant list attached to your presentation, there's no need to run a participant list report. So the results by questions, all data results, and question lists, those three are available for no matter what slide you run, and then the rest are specific to the types of slides. So you just simply click on the type of report that you want, and that's going to allow you to choose between horizontal or vertical. And then you also have a choice of 4 different formats for your output report. One's an Excel spreadsheet, one's a Word document, one's a CSV report, which is a type of Excel spreadsheet, and then if you need to print something online, you can generate that report in HTML. Alright, so that's running your reports. Alright, so we're going to continue our part 2 of our conversation about the Clearing Responses tool. Just to reiterate, your Clearing Responses tool is used to clear all of the data out of your presentation, because if you remember, once you collect data in your presentation, you need to clear that data out of that presentation in order to be able to vote on your polling slides again. So to do that, now that we've collected data, and you can tell that you have data in your slides just by looking at it, you see that you have some uneven bar graphs over here with some data collected. So we're going to go up to the Tools menu, Clear Responses, and this big warning again is letting you know that you need to clear the data out of the slide, but if you want to save it, you need to cancel out of here, go ahead and save the data, and then you can continue with the Clearing Responses tool, because once you continue and eliminate all of the data out of this presentation, you cannot recover it. It is not recoverable, it is deleted, it is gone. So if you do want to save it, you can click Cancel, go up and click Save As. Go ahead and give that a title. We even recommend putting in with data in the title. And go ahead and save that. And then now that you've saved a copy of it, you can go to Clear Responses and continue with the Clear Responses tool. It always defaults to presentation 1, so I'm going to go ahead and click Yes. And now it's going to open up a new presentation with the data cleared of it, and it will give my presentation a new title. Alright, so that one didn't take, so go ahead and try once more. If it doesn't take, and you'll be able to tell by looking at your slides that all of the data is cleared and your presentation is ready to go, because once you look at your slides in the left hand window over here, all of your bar graphs will be even and 100% will be divided evenly among your answer choices here. Alright, so now your presentation is clear of data and ready to go. Alright, and the very last thing that we're going to cover for our training is the help menu. You can click on the drop down menu here for help, and you have a user guide that is available to you, so you can open up that. It opens up a PDF file, and this is essentially your instructions for how to operate your EasyVote. So you can just scroll down here, you see all of your contents. So everything that we've covered today is going to also be available in this user guide, so you can always open that up and you can save it as a PDF file or just open it up in your PowerPoint software whenever you need to. Also available is About EasyVote, which you can click on and it will tell you which version you have. So I have build number 15 in EasyVote 1. Another thing available here is you can check for update. So just to make sure you have the latest software, you can click on update and it tells you if you have the latest version or not. And I am currently running the latest version. And the last thing that's available is EasyVote Online, and this will open up a web page on our support page, and this is available to you to go to the App Center. You can also click on Find Answers and search our database of frequently asked questions. You can also look at our videos here if you like, and there's also tips and tricks for building your PPTX file and using ARS software with that. Alright, so I want to thank you for joining me in learning how to use your EasyVote software. We will be available to you if you have any questions about any of the previous information that you've heard, or if you have any ideas or questions, you can contact us here at Meridia or send an email to support@meridiaars.com. Thank you very much. Have a great day.